fellow seekers of faith and wisdom on our journey to the celestial city, the New Jerusalem, it is good that we are here. Why is it good that we are here? It is good because we have come to the food of the King who is to strengthen us on our pilgrimage journey to meet him. Today, the subject in which we are reflecting on is one that is as topical as it is relevant. And what is this subject? It is the question of making choices. And what is a choice? It is that act or action of selecting one option from pool of possibilities. If you want, ocean of possibilities. Sometimes the decision that you have made may be comfortable, at other times it will not be comfortable. But at whatever rate, you have made a decision. But for us to understand this subject so well, it is important that we go to the past and understand how things were done, where we were, to understand where we are today, in order that we can shape a future that we want for ourselves, for our children, and our children's children. But I want to look at it in two ways. So let me begin with the past. There was a time in the history of man called the primitive age, where men and women were hunters and gatherers. At that point, it was about accumulation of material resources. The more you had material properties, the more you were respected. So respect was dependent on the things that you have. And today, we still see that kind of attitude among many. So this classifies one of the worlds or the ways that is set before us. And this is distinctly called the way of the world. And what is it about? It is about possessions. It is about accumulation. It is about pleasure. It is about bodily gratification. It is about individualism. And it is about me and me alone. But there is another kind of way, and that is the way of God. What is it about? It is about sacrifice. It is about selflessness. It is about community. And it is about detachment. While one is about attachment to the external things that we have, the other one is about detachment. In that way, you have contentment. So as we deal with these issues that happened in the past and equally continuing today, I want to reflect on the message that one of our sons, Dr. Martin Luther King, once gave in 1967 at Stanford. He talked about America in two ways. There was one America that is prospering economically, physically. And he talked about another America that was impoverished, that is characterized or was characterized by poverty, with those living in the slums, with those without shelter, without food, and basic necessities of life. But today, I think there is a way in which that message rings through to us. Between these two, we are to make decisions that will help us to provide the needs of people. Even as I do this, I am reminded by the words of Saint Augustine, 2 worlds. He talked about a city that belongs to men and a city that belongs to God. And I have distinguished them. So I am posing before us. Choose you now whom you are to serve. Are you going to serve possessions materially? Are you going to serve God by detachment? Are you going to sacrifice or not? And as I ask this question, I am not forgetful of the message of Joshua today. He gathers the people at Shechem, and this is our own Shechem, where we are to make choices, where we are to make decisions. And these decisions have personal kind of dimension, they equally have paternal or maternal kind of dimension, and they equally have the public dimension. But before I begin with these dimensions, I want to declare what Joshua said. As he brought the elders, the officials, the representatives of the people, he said, I have made up my mind. For me, I am going to serve the Lord, but I do not know for you. Are you going to serve the gods that our forefathers served beyond the river, and the gods of the Amorites, on whose land we dwell now, that do not give us liberation, that do not give us freedom, that do not give us life? Or you are going to serve the one who gives life? For me, I go with the one who gives life. But look at his declaration. He said, for me and my house. He made a decision not only for himself, but for his house as well. So beginning with the personal dimension. For you to be able to be in a relationship with somebody, you have to know the person. If you know the person, then you will come to trust the person. As you trust the person, then you will begin to serve. So there are 3 things. Knowledge of whom you are dealing with, and trusting that person, and then you begin to serve. This was exactly what Joshua did. For the many things that God had done in his life and the life of the people of Israel, in the past, he remembers. He knew him so well, and he has made up his decision with his house to serve him. The paternal or the maternal aspect. You see, as parents, we have children. We teach them how to eat, how to walk, and we equally teach them how to do sports. All these things are very beautiful. Why can't we take them to the church so that they can serve God? If we give them all these things. There are many things to talk about today, but I will talk about just few of them. So, is serving God not more important than all these things? That is the maternal or the paternal. Joshua made a decision for his house. We are not going to be of 2 opinions. We have taken a position. My wife is not going to take any option other than God. There is no any other option than God. We are going to serve the Lord. There will come a point in time in your life that you will have to stand alone. And I think that time is now. We are in our own Shechem today. You know, we live in a society today that is championed by the philosophy of anything goes. As a parent, it is very difficult for you to raise your children because of what the world is teaching them. If you try to discipline and shape your children in a manner that is aligned to faith, the world says that is domination. But I dare to tell you that if you are convinced that this is the right path, why not take the risks? Because it is worth taking it. Because that is the way of God. The way of sacrifice. It comes with pain. It comes with giving names. It is in that way that you can be able to identify with Christ, whom today tells us through his servant, St. Paul, as he declares to the people of Ephesus at chapter 5 of his letter to them. He says, I am posing before you the kind of spousal relationship that exists between Christ, the owner of the church, and his bride, the church. He sacrificed for her. And for her to identify with him, she must sacrifice. So, husbands, sacrifice for your wives by loving them. Wives, you have to be open to your husband. You have to be docile to your husband. You have to be obedient to your husband. Not in a domineering way, but in the way of service. That is the watchword. It is about service. It is not about domination. And as I discuss what St. Paul puts before us, I am not forgetful of the last dimension of the decision of Joshua, the public dimension. The option that Joshua chose, he made it before the people. He made a declaration before the people of Israel. What we see going on is that Joshua is a true leader. So a leader must know the way, must show the way, and equally go through that way. That is exactly what Joshua did. And the people said, yes, indeed, we are going to go with you. We are going to serve the Lord. So the question is, as we have come to Mount Zion, our own Shechem, where Abraham met God, where he was given the message to leave his house and go to a foreign land, and in that way to become the father of all nations. That Shechem where Moses put before the people of Israel life and death. He said, if you choose life, that you will gain blessings from God. And if you choose the other way, that will be a curse. It is in the same way that we have come to that place where we are to make decisions. Look at the people of the day of Jesus. As the author of the Gospel according to John reminds us, continuing our discussion on the discourse about the bread of life. He puts before them, unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink of his cup, his blood, you will not have life. Oh, the people said, this is a hard teaching. We cannot do this, because that literally means sacrificing. We want to live a life of convenience. We do not want to live that kind of life. As I talk to you, I recall why the scripture will call a man a fool. It is not because he had so much. It is because of the way he responded to what he heard. He said to himself, "O my soul, be happy and be merry, rejoice, enjoy what you have gained. I am going to build so many barns and storages for myself. to study good things, to enjoy life. Little did he know that his soul will be demanded that very night. That is the way of the world. But the decision of Joshua, a true leader, and the decision of another leader, St. Peter, should be our own way today. That should be our own option. When the other people say to Jesus, this is a hard teaching, we cannot sacrifice, they left him. He asked his close allies, Peter and his counterparts, truly being the rock, he said, to whom shall we go? You have the words of eternal life. The question today for you is, are you also going to go away? To whom are you going to serve? Are you going to serve the world? Or are you going to serve God? As a father, are you accessible to your family? Are you accountable to your family? As a mother, are you present to them? As a priest, you are now my flock. Do I really prepare for you? Am I present to you? If I am not, then I have to reorder my priorities. I think that is what we are called to examine today. So let us make a choice. We cannot stand on the fence. Joshua made the choice for himself and for his family. Parents, you have to make choices at some point for your children. If you do not do it, social media will do it. If you do not do it, the politics of the day will do it. And if you do not do it, the world will show them the way that tomorrow they will regret. We have received something from our forebears, and we want to transmit it to this present generation, and this generation must hold that baton and take it to the next generation. And what is it about? It is simply God. So, as I conclude, I am concluding with the words of the psalmist. He says, I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise will always be on my lips. This is a declaration of trust and dependence and surrender. Am I going to surrender? Are you going to surrender? Or you are not going to surrender?